Hello, and welcome to episode 7 of the Fiber Circus. It is October 24th, 2018, and I'm coming to you from a very different location than where I normally am at. I'm coming to you from my lovely little Airbnb cottage that I'm staying in because I'm currently in Asheville, North Carolina for SAFF, which is the Southeastern Animal Fiber Fair. It runs this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and I'll be vending there, so I've been working on setting up stuff today. So, if you need to get a hold of me, you can you can find me on Ravelry, Instagram, and Facebook as Spotted Circus. You can also email me at spottedcircusalpacas@yahoo.com. Or I also have an Etsy store, which is currently down because everything's out here in North Carolina available for sale this weekend, but it should hopefully be updated in the next couple of weeks after I get back from SAFF and I'm able to take a little bit of an inventory. Hello, and welcome to episode 7 of the Fiber Circus. It is October 24th, 2018, and I'm coming to you from a very different location than where I normally am at. I'm coming to you from my lovely little Airbnb cottage that I'm staying in because I'm currently in Asheville, North Carolina for SAFF, which is the Southeastern Animal Fiber Fair. It runs this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and I'll be vending there, so I've been working on setting up stuff today. So, if you need to get a hold of me, you can you can find me on Ravelry, Instagram, and Facebook as Spotted Circus. You can also email me at spottedcircusalpacas@yahoo.com. Or I also have an Etsy store, which is currently down because everything's out here in North Carolina available for sale this weekend, but it should hopefully be updated in the next couple of weeks after I get back from SAFF and I'm able to take a little bit of an inventory. So, thank you very much for everybody who's tuning in this week. I got a ton of new subscribers. Thanks so much, Laura and Leslie of the Knit Girls, for mentioning me on their podcast. I really appreciate it. So hopefully you're able to stick around and you enjoy all the past episodes and the current episodes. I'm going to be working on pulling out all the educational little segments that I've done and put those slightly separate, so that way, in case people want to just watch those and not hear about knitting and that kind of stuff, they can actually just watch that part of it. So we're going to be working on that in the next couple of weeks, hopefully. So this episode's going to be a little bit short and it's going to be a slightly different format than usual, simply because I'm on the road, and the last 2 weeks I've spent mainly with getting yarn and fiber dyed up for this festival. It got to the point where I decided on Sunday, when I was reloading my trailer and looking to see what all it was that I had in there, that I didn't have enough hooks, I didn't think, to hang all my product on. And I got to looking and I thought I found about 10 or 15, and at that point it was a little bit too late for me to personally get the shipment because I was going to leave Wednesday morning. So luckily my friend Erin, who's coming down to help vend with me, was able to ship the stuff to her house. Thank you very much, Amazon Prime, for getting it there in 3 days, because I got to loading up my displays tonight, and I definitely dyed a lot more than what I thought I did. I think out of, let me think, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, I think at least 4 new yarn bases, and each of those probably has 5 or 6 colorways each, which is quite a bit more than what I realized until I started putting it up on my racks. So I've had to do a little bit of adjusting. So there's not going to be a ton of work this week that I'll be showing to you. At the very end, instead of talking about my travels and stuff, I'm going to actually do a walkthrough of the booth to kind of show you everything that we've got in the booth, and some of the different stuff that I've got in now. So I'm going to put it at the very, very end, so that way if you don't really care to watch it, you don't have to. So that's fine. It's not everybody's cup of tea. So first off, works in progress. I've done a little bit of work on a few items this past week. Not a ton of knitting. Is mainly me trying to get some stuff done, because I have 2 sweaters currently that were really close to being finished, but they just need little bits done. So I was trying to concentrate on those. So the first thing that I worked on was my faded machine knit cardigan. And all I really needed to do for this was pick up a button band. So this was machine knit, and this is what's called full needle rib, and it's where every needle across 2 beds is in full production. So instead of really doing ribbing, every needle is actually knitting in there. And I made some buttonholes. So I had to rip this out twice, and at one point first I did the number of rows that according to the pattern it specified I was going to need to do. The gauge was off by 5 rows per inch, so when I got it done I started holding it up next to the cardigan and I was like, this isn't going to fit by any means. So then I actually looked at what my gauge was and figured out that I needed probably another 200 more rows. So luckily I'd taken it off on waste yarn, and you can kind of see my little join there. It's not the prettiest of joins, but at least I joined it. So I have all this extra now, and I've taken it off on live. All the live stitches are still on yarn, just in case it's not quite enough still. So I've attempted to ease this button band in. So it's basically one long strip that starts down at the bottom of the cardigan, goes up out around the neck, and then goes all the way down on the other side. And there weren't really any instructions on how to attach the button band. And going from reverse stockinette here to the button band, which is knit stitches, was kind of hard to seam. It's not a bad looking seam that I'm getting there, but the problem was I was picking up, the row gauges are very, very different. So this row gauge for the full needle rib I think ended up being 11 rows per inch. My row gauge over here on the cardigan I think is about 8 rows per inch. So I couldn't pick it up 1-to-1 as I was going, and I tried to pin it in place, but I didn't take into account that when you get up here into the shoulders and the neckline, the distance out around here is technically longer than what the distance on this band is going to be. So when I went to go actually try it on, I was getting a lot of puckering at the neckline. And I've about fixed it. So I've taken it out twice. So let's see, the buttons, it'll be a deep V here. And this is laying pretty flat at the moment. This is actually looking a lot better than what it did the other day when I tried it on, which is alright with me. So I'll try to stand up here and show you. So I'm going to have buttons here that are going to run down, and then I got some more to do here. So I'm hoping to find some buttons while I'm at SAFF this weekend. Normally I would have really preferred that the button band matched the fade as it went up, but I didn't have enough of this deep purple, blue, and kind of blackish color in order to do that. I had plenty of this green and yellow because that was the least amount that I used of all of it. And I started to divide it to figure out if I could fudge it or not. But I only had, I think, 10 grams of this color left, and I think 15 of this color. So when I divided that in two and then started to do the full needle rib, I could only get about 1 inch or 1.5 inches of ribbing, and that just wasn't going to work for the cardigan. So I started looking at other colors of Wollmeise that I had, and I did try a green, black, and brown with like a bright green in it. So out of all my skeins, that's the one that my husband seemed to think would work the best. But I did a small swatch of it, and then I put it down next to the cardigan, and to me it just didn't look quite right. I also looked at, I have a teal and green skein called Peppermint Prince, and I've actually knit another cardigan out of that. So I did a small row of that, and it still was, it was better, I thought, because the contrast wasn't quite as crazy. So what I ended up using was something I had a full skein of, and this is a brown color, and I don't think I actually have the name of it with me. Oh yeah, nope, I don't. I want to say Bark, and I know that's not a fancy enough name for a Wollmeise, but Joe, who is Sock Monster Joe, I think, or maybe it's just Sock Monster on Ravelry, was at SSK and actually gave this skein to me because she said she'd never use a brown. And I think that it actually goes alright as far as a color. I mean, it's a neutral. It'd be perfect, you know, if the cuffs matched, because then it would look a little bit more like I had meant to do this brown, but I didn't mean to do the brown. So, we'll see. I'll probably take it with me to SAFF this weekend and get other people's opinions on it. I mean, in reality, it's almost finished. But this is having a tendency to roll. And I don't know if once I button it, because I feel like I need to button it, so that way it just looks a little bit better. It's still a little bit loose right here. And this is the third time I've attached this at this point, and I started on this side and went up and out around. So I'm not sure what I'm gonna do. I don't know that that's something that blocking's gonna fix. If I take a little, like, tuck out of it, somehow discreetly, if I could maybe do that to make it lay a little bit better. Not real positive. The band overall was something like 1,200 rows of knitting. In reality, that only took me probably half an hour, 45 minutes. It didn't take me a ton of time. So in theory, I could rip this back out again and try to reset this neckband back in. I don't know that I mind that badly. So we'll see. For right now, I'm happy with it. I mean, the sleeves, I like the length of the sleeves. It's not really itchy. I have run it through the washer and the dryer because it is Superwash, and that did actually really improve the handle of it. The sleeves are a little bit tighter than what I had planned. Blocking might stretch those out too, but you know, overall it's not too horrid. It's a lot better than my last two sweaters that I did, because this one at least looks like it's gonna fit me correctly-ish, and it's long enough. So we'll see how that goes. So that's really about the only work in progress I've got going right now. Most likely I'm going to be working quite a bit on my geek socks when I'm at SAFF, because it's going to be something that's pretty mindless that I can just pick up and throw down, and I don't have to think about too hard. So going to cast-ons, I haven't cast anything on because I don't have time for that. I've been thinking quite a bit about doing a knit-along starting in January of 2019, and I'm considering doing something like a colorwork knit-along, so to get people introduced to colorwork, or maybe a general garment type knit along. I really am. I see all these colorwork sweaters that people are doing with gorgeous yokes, and Tin Can Knits has a pattern out called Strange Brew, and it's basically a recipe for, so you want to make a colorwork cardigan or a colorwork sweater that's customizable to you. Here's how to do it. So I've been considering that, and what I really want to do is to have my alpacas in their own fleeces going out around the yoke of the cardigan, and then have a sheep and a goat and probably a llama or two in the middle of that. But I would probably also be hand spinning for that sweater, and I have the fleece that I know that I would use for it. It's actually from the female that I'm going to be showing during the sideshow today, and she's kind of an unusual taupey gray. And I'd probably actually blend that with a little bit of Cormo just to make sure there's a little bit of memory into it. So if you guys have some thoughts on what kind of knit-along you'd like to do, you know, let me know. It could be as simple as knit something with more than one color in it, you know, or it could be super detailed, like knit yourself a colorwork sweater. I may be the only one participating in that, but who knows. I've been watching this week on Instagram Stephen West. It was his birthday this week, and he's having a pattern sale in his Ravelry store, where if you use the code StephenWest30, you can get 30% off of any of his patterns. And I just happened to catch an Instagram live story that he did today, and he was trying on like every sweater and every shawl that he owned to figure out what it was he was going to wear out that day. And as a result, I've got like 4 more patterns added to my queue, because there were some really interesting ones. A lot of them involved brioche, which I haven't done brioche before, but I really liked the way that it looked. The only thing that kind of holds me back is the majority of his patterns are 2,000 plus yards of fingering weight. So we'll see. He had one called Surriously Holy that used a Surrey lace weight, a brushed Surrey, with a regular fingering weight. And it made a really interestingly patterned brioche shawl with big holes in it. and I really liked the way it looked. And I actually have some brush suri right now that's going to be for sale at SAFF. So depending on if it sells at SAFF, if it doesn't, I may take it and use it in something like that. I've also been looking at his Marled Magic cardigan because there's something about it that really appeals to me. The problem is I think I don't have enough like fingering weight sock-ins to really marl something and make it completely random like his pattern is. So that may also be on the books. And then I also want to make an Aran weight sweater because I have an Aran weight quantity of the Silky Aran, which is the tube of silk that's filled with alpaca and merino that I've got. So we'll see. I have lots of grandiose ideas, you know, because I seem to think I'm going to be a sweater knitter like everybody else, and I'll be like Amy from Stranded Podcast and churn out 12 sweaters in like 11 or 12 months, which is crazy, I think. But she's also a bit smaller than me, and I don't know, she must be a really speedy knitter too, because she cranks those sweaters out. So, cast on, I haven't done anything, but I do finally have a finished object. And it's only because I've been hauling some butt on it, and it's now something like 9 o'clock at night that I'm filming this, because I wanted to make sure that I got it done before the podcast. So I wanted to make sure I had at least a sweater to be able to wear to SAFF. It's not the Rhinebeck sweater, but it's my SAFF sweater. I'm hoping that they start turning down the air conditioning in the building, because the heater was on today, and I will die if I wear the sweater as it is. So last week, when we 2 weeks ago when we talked, I was probably, I think I was right about here, because I've taken my progress marker out, I think. Yep, I did. Alright, so I was right about here on the first arm. So as you can see, I have finished an arm. This is what happens when you don't alternate skeins. So up here, I was alternating skeins, and this is where I picked up to do the arm. And I got tired of switching skeins every row in order to make it match, and I finally decided, you know what, who cares? So you can see how the pattern repeat changed dramatically. It went from probably one pattern repeat per row down to it taking more and more. And it's kind of interesting. I kind of like the way that these look on the end. I also then knit a second sleeve, which this I just finished tonight. I had about 20 more rows to go on the cuff here. I did shorten the sleeve slightly. I stopped 2 decreases short, and they wanted like a 6-inch cuff, and it was meant to have overly long cuffs, and that to me is messy. I don't need this floppy arm waving around, so I shortened the cuffs to, I think it was 4 inches, roughly. So then after that, I had to tack down the pockets. So this sweater has pockets, and they're pretty good sized pockets, which I like. So look, I seamed the bottom. I didn't seam that side because that was already there, but I did seam here, and then I also tacked it down up at the top. So give me just a second and I'm going to try it on. Okay, so here's the sweater. I thought that I was going to try to get it done before SAFF, so I did go ahead and block it prior to actually finishing the sleeve. So I soaked it down really good and then blocked it out. It's not meant to close in the front, although I keep stretching it like it is. In theory, I could probably put like a little claspy thing there, but it's not too bad. So you can see I've got pockets, and they're pretty good sized pockets, which is nice. It's got a little shawl collar that usually will lay down somewhat flat, and then the back, it doesn't ride up too much, which is nice. But it has the full cabling details down the back. Sleeve length, I think they actually match. So I think that they're the same length, which is kind of an important thing. It's a nice length for me right now. And I'll show you up close my little pocketsies. So the pockets are kind of cute. I don't know if you actually stuck things in it, how much it would start to pull down on the sweater. That's something I do kind of worry about, but there's the patterning in the back. So overall, I'm pretty happy with it. I think it's pretty cute. I started this mid-July, if I remember right. So that's August, September. So almost 3 months. That's not bad for me by any means. That's actually really, really quick compared to my last things. The colorway is Spotted Circuses, which is my yarn company. and it's Polworth, and it's a 100% Polworth DK weight, and the colorway is called Neon Mermaid. So, cute. I'm hoping to wear it this weekend after I put those last threads in that I just happened to notice. There's always a thread somewhere. So, once again, this is the Portage sweater by Melissa Schwasheri. Pretty happy with it. I tried it on at SSK and really liked the pattern, and I told myself mentally that if the yarn that I had in the booth didn't sell at SSK, that it was going to be mine. So I think I actually used 1, 2, 3. So I think that I only used definitely 2 full balls, 3 balls. I think this is the 4th ball that I was getting started on. I know that I have 2 more skeins at home still of this yarn. So the yardage on the skeins are 325 yards. Let's see what the pattern claims I was supposed to use. I was supposed to use 2,350 yards. So somehow I don't think I used quite enough yarn. My gauge could be off. Wouldn't surprise me too much. When I blocked it out, I didn't have to stretch it dramatically to get it to the size that I wanted. I did do the 47-inch size. And I didn't really make any modifications. It was mainly knit on size 7 needles. And then I used size 5s for the ribbing on it. So, yeah, I'm happy with it. And that's all that matters, is that I'm happy with it. Hopefully, when I get home, I'm going to put a big old label in it that says "Do not wash under penalty of death." So that way my husband doesn't wash it, because he's kind of notorious for washing the hats that I've made for him. So far he's not exactly sweater worthy in my opinion. So, acquisitions, spinning and machine knitting, I don't have anything. I didn't have any time to do anything. Travels, obviously I've been traveling today. I drove down to SAFF today, and that's about a 9-hour drive for me, roughly. So it could be a lot worse. Not too bad, though. Classes. Right now I'm scheduling a bunch for 2019, so if you want to get on my schedule, please let me know. I do have enough knitting machines to be able to do a class for about 6 people right now. So if that's something you think you might be interested in, some of your friends might be interested in, I've got all the equipment to do it. You just have to have the will and energy to want to learn about it. So definitely look me up. I do have a class scheduled in April in Georgia right now. I'm not 100% sure what all it's going to entail. I know it'll probably talk about washing fleeces and dyeing fleeces for sure. So that's the majority of the stuff I have upcoming right now. Going into the sideshow, this past week's been interesting. There was a full moon earlier this week, I think, and it affected our little kitten dramatically. So little Mothra, who's my husband's Abyssinian kitten, is going on 6 months old right now. And this week, she was a monster. And I don't know what was up with her, but she likes to look out the door when we take our dog for a walk. And she really, she perks up and she looks out the screen door and is always, ooh, what's going on out there? Well, this week, 3 times she ran out the door as we came back in. Once was at night, and we have a bamboo grove in the back of our property that we've planted. And of course this was at night in the dark when it was probably in the 40s, and the bamboo grove is so thick that you really can't see very far into it. We spent probably 45 minutes trying to catch the little booger because she was scared. There was noises. She's not one that comes when you say, "Here, kitty, kitty." She comes on her own will and her own volition. And so luckily we tempted her out finally, and I used my animal control previous job experience to smack my hand down on her and grab her by the scruff and then carry her back into the house with a death grip. The next time when she got out, she went underneath our porch, which was not convenient at all. So she's gotten loose 3 times, and all 3 times it's been my husband that has let her loose. So I've tried to make it a point to put a sign on the door that says, "Please make sure the kitten is not standing near the door ready to run out." He's been gone since Monday, so he'll get home late tonight. And I'm praying to God that he does not let that kitten out, because if I'm not there, we're probably not going to be catching her. So that was a lot of fun. She also, this week, decided to go fishing. And I had a 40-gallon fish tank in my living room that had a big Venustus cichlid in it. And the fish was probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 inches long. It was a big adult cichlid. And it was the only thing in the tank because it had eaten all of his buddies. And I'd had to put on a new filter, so the glass top didn't have the plastic back on it, so there was about a 3-inch gap. And I went over to feed him the next morning, and I noticed that it smelled a little bit fishy outside the fish tank, and I'm sitting there going, where is this fish? He shouldn't be that hard to find. And I looked down, and there was the fish wrapped up in a piece of blue bamboo fiber. So evidently during the night, the kitten, with claw caps on, because she's fully clawed, but we've been putting the plastic caps on because she's been scratching a bit. She somehow reached into the fish tank, grabbed the fish, put him on the floor, and then I guess attempted to Nuno felt or wet felt with the fish. I don't know what exactly she did. So she did that. The next thing she decided to do was she found some of my machine knitting acrylic, and it comes in cones, and most of the cones are at least 1 pound, if not 2 pounds. And I watched her physically grab a cone in her little bitty jaws and take off down the hallway with it. And of course I'm yelling at her to stop, and she's gleefully running away, trailing yarn behind her. She then proceeded to go in and out of things and wind the yarn all over the place. So she's currently a monster. I'm hoping that that was just a full moon spell, because if she's like that from now on, it's going to be a nightmare. I know she's only 6 months old, but it's been 10 plus years since we've had a kitten in the house, and right now I just want to strangle her. So, going out to the pastures, the little bitty bottle baby Kriya has been drinking pretty good. She's drinking 3 or 4 bottles a day right now. She still doesn't come running up to me to drink the bottle, which is kind of a pain, so I have to go out and attempt to sneak up on her and catch her. And then she's more than willing to drink, but God forbid she runs up to me and drinks on her own. That would be too convenient. So this week at the sideshow, we're going to see my favorite alpaca. Her name's Blackout. So this right here is my favorite alpaca. Don't tell the other alpacas that I said that, because I'm sure that they might get offended by it. Her name's Blackout. Technically, she's not black, as you can see, so we actually call her Measles. And if she'll pull her head out of the feed... Hey, Measly. Measly. You can see why. She has little bitty speckles all over her face, and she actually has them in her blanket as well. When I first saw her, she was, I think, about 1 year old, and they'd registered her as a light fawn. And when they started to shear her, all the little speckles along her neck and then here in her belly area started to show up, and I said, oh, she has spots. I'm like, she needs to be at the spotted circus. So she eventually came home with me. She's pregnant right now. She's got a nice fat belly. She looks a lot more pregnant than what she should, but she's kind of like a goat. She likes to eat a lot. She's actually due next May, and she went out to Colorado this spring and actually bred with a male named Cascade Neck Farm Legionnaire, and he's thrown other spotty animals, which is why it is that we chose him for her breeding. So she's 5. She's actually a real sweetheart. She's got funny floppy ears. When she runs, which I'll try to get a video of it later, her ears kind of flop around like a donkey, which isn't exactly the most common thing in the world. Her color is technically called a harlequin. And later on, when I can catch her with some help, when you look at her fiber on the inside, it's almost a mushroom color. As a result, she really doesn't fit into any of the 22 approved colors for the Alpaca Association. So she fits into what's called an indefinite, which means they don't really know what to do with a color like her. So she's actually got gorgeous fiber. She's maintaining a sub 20 micron fleece at the age of 5 so far, which is really good. So we're hoping next May that she'll have her baby and it'll be spotty. That's the hope, at least. Good possibility it may come out fawn, because her herd sire that she's out of is fawn as well. Thank you, Fat Maggie. So her daddy's fawn, and the male that we bred her to is actually fawn as well. So it's a good possibility that we may get a fawn, but if so, it should be a really nice fawn. You can see She's got a lot of fiber on her. She's actually really dense. And you can kind of tell that by the cracks that are forming within her fiber and the fact that you can see individual little bundles sticking out from her. We showed her once in a halter class, and they didn't know what to do with her color, so she got booted into the wrong class and then got dinged because there's dark colored fibers in her fleece. And then we showed her once in as just a fleece, and she showed as a gray, and I think out of a class of 14 she got 6, which is pretty darn good actually for an alpaca. So this is Measly. You can see her big fat belly. She's kind of shaped like a goat right now, which means she's fatter than what she should be, but you know, that's great because it means she's probably definitely still pregnant. She definitely doesn't miss too many meals. She's one where when you see the feed bunk empty, she's still there searching because you never know where that last pellet might be. So, Measles is a cutie. I love her. She's my favorite alpaca on the farm right now. We have a lot of high hopes for her baby next year. It's going to be due the week that I'll be in Colorado for somebody else's shearing. So I'm probably going to try to find another farm to take her on before she has her baby, so that way somebody can watch her. Because as a first-time mom, it makes me a little bit nervous not having somebody here all day to keep an eye on her. The alpaca right next to her is actually Daliance. This is the little Kriya's mom. They both enjoy the food, as you can tell. And she's doing quite a bit better since her round of seizures. She had those strange seizures that one night and then hasn't had any since. So we're still not 110% sure as to what happened with her. And you see there on the right hand side, that's Ursula. Ursula's our old girl. She's 17. So she's kind of thin. That happens when they get older because their teeth start to wear down. So we just kind of keep a close eye on her. She may end up with a coat later on this winter when it gets a little bit more chilly. But Ursula's a really good mom. The problem is she's too good, and when she has babies, she actually will run and spit and scream at you to even go near her babies. She had her last one, I think about 1.5 years ago, and unfortunately the cria just was not viable. So we probably won't be breeding her again. So she's just a pet now. But there's Measly. Measly, where are you going? Measles. I can see you pay really good attention to me, Measles. Hey, Measly. What do you do? Show people your sweet face. I know you have one. Hey, Measly. Hi. Hi, cutie. Measly. So that's Measly. Hopefully, once the husband gets home, I'll do a little bit of filming of her fiber. Because I've tried to grab her twice, and she's disagreed with me on this idea twice. So, I don't want to stress her out a ton since she is pregnant. So, that's Measly. That's this week's sideshow critter. My favorite little alpaca. Take a tour through my booth out at SAFF once I get it all completely set up tomorrow. So, alright, so a quick booth tour here at SAFF. So, we're going to start over here in Fingering Weight Island. So we have some interesting new yarns here. We have some Superwash BFL with a little bit of Firestar nylon in it. So it has just a little hint of sparkle to it. It'll actually make really good socks. Then I also have some regular Superwash Merino nylon and then some non-Superwash Merino nylon with just a little bit of sparkle. So you can see the sparkle in there. Then we move into Self-Striping Island. Most of my self-striping is currently an alpaca merino bamboo nylon, except for the right hand side row there, which is all a Superwash Merino nylon. And then I have little tiny balls up here to actually show you how a lot of them stripe, because I'm not quick enough to knit my own socks. Then we have more alpaca merino nylon. A couple new colorways here. We have the color of money, which is kind of a cool greenish teal. We have the grape ape, which is a variegated tonal purple. And then we have Disco Lights, which is a black with flecks of neon throughout it, which is really fun yarn. I have a new brushed alpaca merino nylon, very similar to the merino silk mohair brushed fiber that we've got. I've only got 2 colorways in that because I was giving it a try. We have some lace weight there, a couple sock blanks that I painted. We have the beautiful Paca Silk, which is a sub 20 micron alpaca with mulberry silk blended in it. And we have it in rose gray and silver gray. And then I have Windy Sparkle, which is from my girl Windy Skies. And it's a brown with just a hint of gold sparkle in it. We go into Silky Paca, which is a light fingering. And it's a 70-30 alpaca mulberry silk. Then we go into what I'm calling Merpac Yak Silk, because, you know, you gotta have a descriptive name. And it's a DK weight yarn, 50 gram skeins, and they are 137 yards. The dye took gorgeous in that. They even have an authentic pumpkin spice latte, because, you know, it's the fall. We also have a Polworth DK, and this is what it is that I made my sweater out of. So super squishy, non-superwash sheep's wool. We have some alpaca CVM, some alpaca with cormo, and a little bit of sparkle. We got a bunch of really nice fleeces that are mainly browns, blacks, and grays. Then we have what I'm calling Silky Aran, and that's that tube yarn that's made out of mulberry silk with alpaca and merino thrown in. We have a super squishy, bulky Lopi that's wrapped, 100% alpaca. More sock blinks, more gradients. The top row is all mulberry silk and yak. The middle row is all alpaca and silk. And then the bottom row there is merino nylon. Let's see, we have the Spinolution worker bee and the Spinolution polywog and the firefly down there. We have some dyed firestar and bamboo, dyed pearl fiber. We have samplers of mulberry silk, mint, milk, pearl, sari silk, tussa silk, and I'll have pineapple fiber tomorrow also. Like 60 some odd colors of Angelina. We've got Teeswater locks from our boy Ted. Most of the locks are roughly 7 to 8 inches long. Some really gorgeous mohair locks there. Some 12-inch long Surrey locks. You got a herd of alpacas. This is all alpaca cormo or alpaca with Starbright nylon roving that's hand dyed. And over here we have more Teeswater locks. We got some Power Scour, some Gigantor bats, and then we also have some coated merino fleeces. They're all Morit merino fleeces that are show fleeces, so they're extremely clean. We have everything from a inky, almost black, to a really light gray, and several other Morit colors as well. These are 3 new colors for me. We have Rumpelstiltskin, Emerald City, and Pony Power. They're all merino with Stellina. We of course have stained glass merino, the merino with Firestar, more merino with Firestar. We have oil slick and moonshine, and then we have blended merinos, and then we have the Rambouillets, because who doesn't love a good squishy Rambouillet? So as you can see, tons of stuff here in the booth. A little bit of everything for you to give a try out, and if I don't have it here, I probably have it out in the trailer because, you know, I've only got so much space to put everything in. So hope you guys enjoyed that booth tour and stop by tomorrow. Thanks a lot for tuning in, everyone. Greatly appreciate all the new viewers, the old viewers, the viewers that tell other viewers about the viewers, and anybody that I might see at SAFF this weekend. Stop by and say hi. I'd love to be able to talk to people, get their opinion on how the podcast is going. Any new ideas, anything you want to hear about or learn about, let me know. So until next time, I'll see you guys in 2 weeks.